In this video, we're going to go over a word problem that involves a table of data. Ooh, kind of scary, but we're going to find out the table of data is really just like giving you points. So this is a great way to see how point-slope form works well with points in whatever form they're given to you. We're told the table below shows the amount of time Vanessa works and her total wages. Find an equation in, slope-intercept form that gives Vanessa's wages W at any time t. Assume the data is linear. So that means we know this is going to make a line. Now here's the thing. Before we get all scared and freaked out that it's a table of data, remember that in a table of data you have an input and an output. So this information right here I view as 5, 130. Like that's how my brain processes it. And 10, 210 is 10, 210. And then 15, 290. And so on and so forth. By doing this, I've made everything translated into, well, nicer, easier, more manageable pieces of information. So now all that I have left to do is to rock and roll with finding the slope-intercept form of the equation. Now since I'm given points, none of which are 0, a number, I know that I don't have any y-intercepts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use point-slope form. Since I'm given points, I can find the slope and then I'll convert it into slope-intercept form. So I'll start out with y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And you might say, yeah, but Mr. Groden, or Matt, or whatever you want to call me, w and t are the values there. So t is like x, that's your input, and w is like y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve everything in terms of x and y like normal, and then at the very end I'll substitute in t for x and w for y, just to make it consistent with what the word problem is telling us to do. So I'm going to use the first 2 points because the numbers are the smallest there. So I've got, well, the slope is what I need. So m is equal to y2 minus y1. That's 210 minus 130. All over 10 minus 5. So public service announcement. If you're having trouble with slope now, go back to my videos on slope because I go into it in much further detail than I'm doing it here. Okay, so we've got our rise of our run. 210 minus 130 is 80. Over 10 minus 5 is 5. And 80 divided by 5, get out your calculator if you need it, is, I believe, 16. I don't believe, I know. So that means that Vanessa's making $16 per hour. Not too bad. So she's making 16 bucks per hour. So we've got, well, I guess it depends what work she's doing, making 16 bucks an hour, that's for sure, and what she needs to make. So we've got y minus y1 equals 16 times x minus x1. So we'll go on from here. We've got a y1 and an x1 we need. I'm going to pick the 2 smallest values. That'll be y minus 130. And I pick the smallest values because they're easier to use. 16 times x minus 5. Sweet. So that's our point-slope form of the equation for Vanessa, but we want it in slope-intercept form. So I now in my head or on my paper, I'm going to write out y equals mx plus b. I'm going to switch to the other side here because we're done with our data. So now that I've got y equals mx plus b, that's my focus. So I'm going to distribute 16 to both sides here. Targeting y equals mx plus b is my final stop. I have 16 times x. 16 times 5 is going to be 80. And last but not least, I will add 130 to both sides of the equation. And that is because I want to get y alone. And I'll put some more work over there. Negative 130 and 130 cancel, that's what we wanted. We're left with y equals 16x, negative 80, and 130 is plus 50. Very nice. And that is the equation in slope-intercept form that represents what Vanessa has earned over X hours. Now again, we had the wages were W, that was Y, and T was hours. That's all we needed. Now, the cool part is we could go further and say, how many wages in dollars has Vanessa earned or will she earn in, let's say, 40 hours? So what we would do is we would take W, set it equal to 16 times 40 hours, and add 50. 16 times 40 is 640, plus 50 is 690. So we could use the slope-intercept form as a form that is much easier to calculate W values when we have T values. But the moral of the story here again is don't be scared off by a table of data. It's really just a collection of points. And when we see it that way, we see how point-slope form is a really nice tool that can be used for finding an equation that relates to variables. An awesome word problem for an awesome person out there. Keep rocking your practice. See you in the next video.